Have you ever looked up at the sky and felt, without explanation, that someone you loved was near? That a breeze was more than just the wind. It was a whisper, a sign, a memory. Welcome to Quiet Currents. My name is Kenneth Pearson, and I'm the founder of Live a Haiku Life. Each episode in this series explores one of the 10 principles that guide this practice. Today, we come to a threshold, a place where something ancient and something deeply personal meet. This is the 5th principle: connect deeply with nature. It is the bridge between the self and the world, the reminder that we are not separate from the earth, but a part of it. And it is where, for me, the heart of haiku lives. There have been many moments in my life when I've turned to nature, not consciously, but instinctively. Not because I was looking for an answer, but because I was trying to remember something I felt like I had forgotten. Who I was, why I was here, what mattered. I think about the first time I saw a meteor streak across the sky and, without hesitation, whispered my grandmother's name. Or the times I've stood at the edge of a forest, wind wrapping around me like a shawl, and suddenly felt the presence of someone I've lost. I never set out to find them in these places, but somehow they arrive, like the leaves falling without being asked, or the tide returning without a map. Nature has a way of holding memory, not in pictures, but in feeling, not in detail, but in essence. And haiku has given me the language for it. Not an explanation, but an observation. Not in theory, but in moment. Nature doesn't rush to be understood. It shows up exactly as it is, moment by moment. It blooms, withers, falls, rests, rises again. It does not pretend to be permanent. It doesn't ask us to be either. What it offers instead is rhythm, cycles, a kind of clarity that isn't loud, but deeply rooted. When we connect with nature, we are reminded of our own patterns, our own seasons of growth and pause. We learn to honor the winter within us, just as we welcome the spring. We begin to see that there's no shame in shedding, no failure in resting. But beyond that, nature teaches us relationship. Not the transactional kind, but something older, something reciprocal. We take breath from the trees. They take ours in return. We drink from waters we did not create, and those waters carry us, even when we don't realize we're being carried. This is not just poetic, it's fundamental. It's how life works. And somewhere along the way, many of us forget that we are part of the system we now call the environment. But when we remember, we don't just treat the planet better, we treat each other better too. So what would happen if we began to see our relationships like ecosystems? Not as hierarchies, not as competitions, but as interdependent systems of care, reciprocity, and nuance. In nature, nothing exists in isolation. Every species, every movement influences the whole. And yet, we often treat each other as isolated parts, judging without understanding, dismissing what we don't see reflected in ourselves. But if we approached human connection like nature, like a living, breathing web, perhaps we would become more curious, more compassionate, more patient. We might learn to pause before speaking, to observe before reacting, to recognize that we all grow differently, and that each of us has a role in the larger rhythm of things. To connect deeply with nature is to also reconnect with human nature, to see that grief, joy, fear, and love are part of a larger, shifting whole. And none of us are outside of that system. We belong to it. we belong to each other. Haiku has taught me to notice, to wait, to see the morning mist not just as fog, but as the moment between dreams and duty. To hear a crow's call not as noise, but as punctuation to an otherwise silent page. To experience nature not as something to conquer or preserve, but as a presence to be in relationship with. And through this practice, I've come to understand that the gestures of nature, those soft, everyday miracles, are where memory and meaning live. In a field of flowers, I see the joy of a friend gone too soon. In the silence of snowfall, I hear the wisdom of those who loved me well. These aren't memories stored in my mind. They're felt in my body, my breath, my bones. And I don't think I'm alone in this. So today, I invite you to look to nature, not as a backdrop, but as a companion, a teacher, a mirror. Notice the small patterns around you, the way the trees lean into the wind, the way the shadows shift throughout the day, the way water finds its way home, no matter the shape of the path. Let these be reminders that you too are part of something larger, that you belong to the earth and it to you, that in this vast, complex world, presence is always available, and it often begins with a leaf, a breeze, a bird's call at just the right moment. Thank you for spending time with me. If this reflection spoke to something in you, I'd love to hear about it. You can visit www.liveahaikulife.com or find me on LinkedIn. And if you're interested in bringing this practice into your personal or professional life, we offer several opportunities. Our one-on-one coaching program, Quiet Contemplations, is designed for individuals at all levels. We also offer team-building experiences, leadership retreats, and workshops grounded in the same principles we explore here. To learn more, email us at liveahaikulife@gmail.com. Until next time, may your moments be mindful, your connections meaningful, and your life a quiet current of presence and simplicity.